Republican Congressman and candidate for governor in Arizona, Andy Biggs, joins me now. We just heard about New York Governor Kathy Hochul saying that ICE should not get cooperation from local police and jails, that they should not be allowed, ICE should not be allowed into the jails to pick up criminal suspects. Isn't that exactly what ICE is saying they should be allowed to do, because it takes a much smaller force to go into a jail and arrest somebody who's already incarcerated?
Yeah, John, that's right. So think about it. We're talking about violent criminals here. We're talking about rapists, murderers, pedophiles, those types of individuals. And if you release them back onto the street, you make your community less safe. But moreover, you make the law enforcement is less safe. The feds trying to enforce the law less safe. When you know what, if there's an ICE hold on them and you have them in your custody, in your jail, you should be turning them over to ICE. Why is that? Because then they're not going into the neighborhoods. And here's what's happening, John. They go into those neighborhoods and they find the bad guy, the criminal, but they might be with some other illegal aliens who are not violent or criminals, but they check the ID, they find out that they're illegal. They are bound at that point to arrest those people too. So this is really undermining even what the sanctuary cities are trying to do.
I want to play for you some sound from Chuck Schumer, the Democrat leader in the U.S. Senate. He has some suggestions for ICE. I want you to listen to these and tell us what you think when it's over. Listen.
Senate Democrats are united on three main goals that will rein in ICE and end the violence. Rein in ICE and end the violence. First, end the roving patrols. Second, enforce accountability. Third, masks off, body cameras on. Each officer must have visible ID.
What do you think about those suggestions, Congressman?
Well, if you really want to end roving movement of ICE agents, turn over the illegal aliens that holds in the jails. If you really want to have peace and hold people accountable, then you hold people like Tim Walz and Mayor Fry accountable for their incendiary rhetoric that is causing this violence. And the third thing is, you have to allow them to wear masks because they're getting doxxed. Their families are being harassed. They're being threatened. And quite frankly, you see all the protesters and the rioters out there. They're all wearing masks. Why are they wearing masks? Because they don't want to be identified, but they want to identify the ICE agents so they can go after them. I think Schumer is aiding and abetting this horrific violence in the country today.
Chicago's mayor is also very much anti-ICE. Listen to what he has to say. Oh, it's a full screen. I'm sorry. So let me read it to you. Nobody is above the law, says Brandon Johnson. There is no such thing as absolute immunity in America. The lawlessness of Trump's militarized immigration agents puts the lives and well-being of every Chicagoan in immediate danger. He makes it sound like ICE is knocking on the doors of, the local kindergarten teacher and threatening to pull him away. He goes on to say, with today's order, we are putting ICE on notice in our city. Chicago will not sit idly by while Trump floods federal agents into our communities and terrorizes our residents. Your thoughts on that?
They're not terrorizing residents. What they're trying to do is enforce the federal law. And by the way, in thousands of jurisdictions around this country, they're able to do that because there's cooperation between the local law enforcement and ICE and the federal law enforcement. Here's the deal. If they want to have peace and safety, if you have your sheriffs or your police get control or arrest somebody who has an ICE hold, turn them over in the jail. Then everybody's safer. Nobody's out having to go out in the community and look for these criminally violent people. Once again, they are choosing the illegal alien who is a criminal with violent tendency, violent history, and they're saying we prefer to protect them instead of going after the bad guys. They don't want to protect the citizens of their own communities.
Real quickly, I want to get your thoughts on the fraud investigation in Minnesota. A whistleblower named David Hoke says it could be as high as $100 billion. Listen.
I've been running down this middle of the street with my hair on fire going, look at this fraud. And I put the number at 80 to $100 billion in Minnesota alone, going back to 1988. And you're going to find out that I'm right. And see how the number keeps ratcheting up? It was 250 million, then it was $1 billion, then it was 9 billion, now it's 18 billion. And I said, you got to keep going because you have to include all of the city money, county money, state money, federal money, grants.
Are we ever going to get to the bottom of this, Congressman?
Well, this is a pretty deep hole, I'll tell you, John, and he may well be right, because in states that we've looked at, otherwise, even in my home state, there's massive amounts of fraud because there's so much money floating around in these programs and virtually no accountability, no auditing, no scrutiny there. And so, yeah, I think he's right. This is massive and it's going on. And guess what? They're punishing the whistleblowers. They're not punishing the thieves and the fraudsters.
Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona,